The Stoics, during their long and meaningful lives, mastered not just their own psychology, but also the psychology of others, including women. They understood the subtle, intricate nature of human desire and connection. In today's episode, we're diving straight into those secrets by unlocking the 7 hidden places you can touch to drive women absolutely wild. These aren't the typical spots you'd expect. Stick around, because these tips could drastically change your intimacy game. And remember, watch until the end, hit that like button, subscribe, comment with your thoughts or experiences, and share this with anyone who needs to know. Let's get straight into it. Chapter 1: Mouth. The first secret place to touch is surprisingly simple yet incredibly powerful: the mouth. Specifically, encouraging her to suck on your fingers can forge an intimate connection that taps into primal desires and deep-rooted psychological triggers. There's something undeniably erotic about the act of sliding your fingers into her mouth, allowing her to explore and play with them. This gesture isn't just about physical touch, it's about sparking an instinctive response tied to vulnerability, trust, and passion, all of which amplify her arousal. Start by lightly tracing your fingers across her lips, teasing the entrance to her mouth. The anticipation of your fingers crossing that threshold heightens her senses. Once you insert them, do so gently, allowing her to ease into the sensation. The warmth of her mouth, combined with the wetness and subtle movements of her tongue, mimics other intimate acts, tapping into her subconscious desire. This act becomes an unspoken communication of passion, making the experience more immersive. Sucking on your fingers engages multiple senses at once: taste, touch, and sound. The softness of her lips, the warmth of her breath, and the rhythmic motions of her mouth create a symphony of sensations that evoke feelings of closeness and excitement. The wetness of her mouth, combined with the subtle suction, can remind her of more intimate experiences, heightening her arousal without even needing to move below the belt. Another crucial aspect of this technique is that it gives her a sense of control. By inviting her to suck on your fingers, you're allowing her to dictate the pace and intensity. She decides how much pressure to apply and how fast to go, which puts her in a position of power within the intimate moment. While she's doing this, maintaining deep eye contact can enhance the connection between you. The exchange of glances during such a vulnerable act sends powerful signals of desire and trust. It's not just about the physical act of touching her mouth, it's about how you convey your interest and attraction through these subtle gestures. The psychology behind this method goes deeper. The mouth is packed with nerve endings, making it an extremely sensitive part of the body. Gently inserting your fingers builds suspense, and as she explores the sensation with her tongue, she'll start to crave more. The slow and deliberate pace allows the arousal to build naturally, inching towards a crescendo. Teasing her mouth in this way also sets the stage for more intense stimulation later on, ensuring that by the time you move on to other areas, her desire has already reached a heightened level. In addition to the sensory aspects, this technique taps into the psychological principle of anticipation. By beginning slowly and letting her explore at her own pace, you're creating a build-up of tension that makes her body crave more. You're also subtly communicating the idea of mutual pleasure. Just as she's enjoying the sensation, she knows that you are too. This reciprocity of pleasure strengthens the bond between you. Moreover, this act of using her mouth to build arousal triggers a sense of intimacy and closeness that goes beyond the physical. When done with care, patience, and attention, it can create a powerful emotional connection. The combination of physical touch, eye contact, and the slow build-up of arousal ensures that you are not just engaging her body, but her mind as well. As the sensation builds, the boundaries between physical and emotional intimacy blur, allowing both partners to feel more connected. Lastly, the act of having something in her mouth, whether fingers or anything else, can be a deeply submissive gesture for some women, which taps into desires related to power dynamics. Others may feel empowered by taking control of the pace and intensity of the experience. Either way, it enhances the overall sense of play and exploration within your intimate connection. In conclusion, the mouth is a gateway to deeper arousal, a powerful and often underestimated tool for building tension and intimacy. By encouraging her to suck on your fingers, you engage multiple senses and trigger subconscious desires. The act itself creates a moment of vulnerability and trust, deepening the connection between you. As her arousal builds through this teasing touch, you lay the foundation for more intense experiences to come, ensuring that her desire for you is both physical and emotional. Chapter 2: A V. The second secret place to touch is one that's well known, but often misunderstood in terms of technique, the vaginal area, or simply V. While it's no secret that this area holds immense potential for pleasure, the way you engage with it can make all the difference. Inserting fingers into the vaginal canal, when done with care and skill, can provide a world of sensations that go beyond the mere physical touch. It's not just about the act itself, but how you do it, the rhythm, the pressure, and the emotional connection you create in the process. To begin, make sure that she is fully relaxed and ready to receive this kind of touch. It's crucial to ensure she's aroused and comfortable before attempting any internal stimulation. Use plenty of lubrication, whether natural or added, to enhance the smoothness of your movements and reduce any friction. Start by gently massaging the outer labia, teasing the entrance of her vagina without inserting your fingers just yet. This builds anticipation and allows her body to fully relax and open up to you. When you're ready to insert your fingers, do so slowly, allowing her body to adjust to the sensation. You can start with one finger, and then, as her arousal builds, gradually add a second if she is comfortable with that. Once inside, don't rush. This isn't about rapid movement. Instead, explore the inner walls with subtle, deliberate motions. Curl your fingers slightly upward to find her G-spot, located a couple of inches inside the front wall of the vagina. Once you locate it, apply gentle pressure in a rhythmic motion, allowing her to feel the intensity of each stroke. What makes this area particularly special is its sensitivity. The vaginal walls are full of nerve endings, and each gentle stroke stimulates these nerve endings, sending ripples of pleasure through her body. The G-spot, in particular, responds well to steady, rhythmic pressure. You can use techniques like a "come here" motion with your fingers to lightly brush over it, increasing the intensity gradually as her arousal builds. But it's not just about physical sensation. When done right, this kind of touch taps into deeper emotional and psychological experiences for her. The vaginal canal is a vulnerable part of her body, and allowing you to explore it is an act of trust. By being slow, attentive, and gentle, you show her that you respect that trust. This makes the experience far more intimate and emotionally charged than simply focusing on physical pleasure alone. As with all techniques, communication is key. Pay close attention to how she responds to your touch. Some women prefer slow, deliberate movements, while others may want something a bit more intense. Her body language and vocal cues will tell you everything you need to know. If she moans softly or presses her hips closer to you, she's signaling that she's enjoying the sensation and possibly craving more intensity. One of the most effective techniques in this area is to alternate between gentle, slow strokes and more rhythmic, firmer pressure. The contrast between the two sensations keeps her on edge, never knowing exactly what to expect next. This builds her arousal slowly, ensuring that by the time she reaches climax, the experience is more intense and satisfying. Another method is to pause every so often, holding your fingers still inside her to let the sensation linger. This creates a sense of anticipation, making her body crave the next touch. From a psychological standpoint, the act of being touched so intimately taps into feelings of trust and emotional connection. For many women, allowing someone to touch them internally is not just about physical pleasure, it's about feeling safe, cared for, and understood. The combination of physical and emotional stimulation makes this technique even more powerful. She's not just experiencing touch, she's experiencing a deeper connection with you, which heightens her arousal and makes the entire encounter more fulfilling. In conclusion, the V is a deeply sensitive area that, when touched with care and attention, can lead to profound physical and emotional pleasure. By taking your time and using rhythmic, gentle motions, you can stimulate the vaginal walls and G-spot in a way that feels both exciting and intimate. This technique isn't just about getting her to climax, it's about creating a moment of trust and connection that enhances both her arousal and your bond with each other. Chapter 3. Ears. One of the most overlooked secret places on her body is the ears. That's right, those soft, delicate structures on the sides of her head are packed with nerve endings and can become incredibly sensitive when touched in the right way. Inserting your fingers into her ears, or simply stroking them gently, can evoke a surprisingly powerful response, heightening her arousal and sending tingles down her spine. To begin, take a gentle, teasing approach. Before even touching her ears, lean in close and whisper softly. The sound of your voice, combined with the warmth of your breath, will start to activate her auditory senses and set the stage for the physical touch. You can begin by lightly tracing the outer edge of her ear with your fingertip, barely grazing the skin to build anticipation. Her ear is full of sensitive nerve endings, and even the slightest touch can send shivers down her body. Once you've teased her outer ear, you can slowly work your way inward. Insert the tip of your finger gently into her ear, moving in small, circular motions. This sensation might be new for her, but the ear canal is highly sensitive, and the subtle movements will create a unique feeling of pleasure that's different from anything else. The contrast between the firm touch on her body and the delicate sensations inside her ears will make her more aware of her entire body, intensifying her overall arousal. What makes the ears such an effective erogenous zone is their connection to the brain's pleasure centers. The auditory nerves are closely linked to areas of the brain responsible for processing pleasure, which is why even a simple whisper or touch can be so arousing. By combining physical touch with the stimulation of sound, you create a dual sensory experience that amplifies her pleasure. You can enhance the experience by combining ear stimulation with other touches. For example, while lightly stroking her ear or inserting your finger, you can run your other hand down her neck or back, creating a contrast in sensation. This makes her body more attuned to each touch, increasing her overall sensitivity. Whispering sweet, suggestive things in her ear as you touch it can also heighten the moment. Your words, combined with the physical touch, will tap into her psychological desire for connection and intimacy. As with all forms of intimate touch, pay attention to her reactions. Some women may find ear stimulation to be incredibly erotic, while others might be more sensitive or ticklish in this area. Her body language will tell you whether to continue or move on to another spot. If she leans into your touch, moans softly, or arches her back, she's likely enjoying the sensation. In conclusion, the ears are an often overlooked but incredibly effective erogenous zone. When touched with care, they can evoke powerful sensations that enhance her arousal and deepen the connection between you. Whether you're whispering sweet nothings or gently inserting your fingers, stimulating her ears can create a unique and highly pleasurable experience that complements other forms of touch. Chapter 4. Barely Be. The fourth secret place to focus on is one of the most powerful erogenous zones on a woman's body, yet it requires a delicate touch to master: the clitoris. Often referred to as the barely be technique, this method focuses on light, teasing touches that heighten anticipation and drive her wild. While many men know that the clitoris is extremely sensitive, few realize the immense power of barely touching it to create an incredible buildup of arousal. When done right, this technique can lead to one of the most intense climaxes she's ever experienced. To begin, it's essential to understand just how sensitive the clitoris really is. With over 8,000 nerve endings concentrated in this small area, even the slightest touch can create an overwhelming sensation. That's why it's crucial not to rush in with intense or direct stimulation right away. Instead, start slow and gentle, letting her body warm up to the sensation. Lightly trace your fingers around the clitoris without directly touching it at first. This teasing technique builds anticipation and heightens her sensitivity. You can start by gently stroking the outer labia, moving closer to the clitoris, but never making direct contact. Her body will naturally respond to this light touch, becoming more aroused and eager for deeper stimulation. Once you feel her body responding, you can begin lightly grazing the clitoral hood. Still, resist the urge to apply direct pressure. Keep your touch soft and teasing. The key here is to create a sense of longing. By barely touching her, you're allowing her body to crave more intense contact, which makes the eventual touch all the more pleasurable. She'll become hyper-aware of each movement, and her arousal will steadily build with every brush of your fingers. The beauty of this technique lies in its simplicity and restraint. Rather than overwhelming her with intense pressure from the start, you're giving her the time to savor every sensation. The longer you maintain this teasing touch, the more heightened her sensitivity becomes. You'll notice her breathing becoming heavier, her hips moving in sync with your touch, and her body signaling that it's ready for more. As you continue, you can experiment with different types of light touch. Use the pads of your fingers to make small, circular motions around the clitoral area, or gently run your fingers side to side over the skin just above the clitoris. If she enjoys it, you can also softly blow warm air over the area or whisper into her ear to heighten the experience. These small sensory changes can intensify the anticipation, making her body even more eager for the eventual release. Pay close attention to her reactions as you do this. If she starts to moan softly or her body tenses in anticipation, she's likely enjoying the teasing and is on the edge of wanting more. At this point, you can gradually increase the pressure and begin to directly stimulate the clitoris. However, the transition should be slow and deliberate. Even when you begin direct contact, keep your touch light at first, allowing her body to adjust before increasing intensity. One of the most effective ways to finish this technique is by alternating between light touches and brief moments of stillness. Touch her clitoris lightly for a few seconds, then stop. Let the sensation linger and give her a moment to process it. Then, resume the touch. This start and stop motion creates a rhythm that builds her arousal to a peak before releasing it. By the time she reaches climax, the experience will feel much more intense because of the gradual, teasing build-up. From a psychological perspective, the barely breathe technique taps into her desire for anticipation and control. The fact that you're holding back and teasing her creates a sense of suspense, making her more eager for the next touch. It also allows her to feel in control of her arousal, as she can respond to each touch with her body and signal when she's ready for more. In conclusion, light clitoral stimulation, done with teasing and restraint, can drive her wild with desire. By barely touching the clitoral area, you allow her arousal to build slowly, creating a more intense and satisfying climax. This technique isn't just about physical pleasure, it's about engaging her mind and body in a slow dance of anticipation, making every touch feel like an electric jolt of excitement. Chapter 5. Neck. The neck is often overlooked as a major erogenous zone, but it's one of the most sensitive areas on the body. The skin on the neck is thin, delicate, and packed with nerve endings that make even the lightest touch incredibly stimulating. When you engage in neck stimulation, you're tapping into one of the most intimate and sensual parts of her body, which can trigger a deep emotional and physical response. The key to mastering neck stimulation is understanding that less is more. Unlike more obvious erogenous zones, the neck doesn't require intense pressure or fast movements. Instead, The secret lies in light, feathery touches that gradually build tension and desire. You can start by gently kissing or grazing the skin with your lips. Move slowly and deliberately, paying attention to her reactions as you do. You can also use your fingers to trace the outline of her neck, moving from the base near the collarbone up toward her ear. The area just below the ear is especially sensitive, and lightly touching it can send a wave of pleasurable tingles down her spine. As you do this, whispering soft words or even her name in her ear can create a powerful sensory combination of touch and sound. Another technique to try is using your breath to stimulate her neck. After kissing or lightly touching her neck, you can softly blow warm air over the area you just touched. The contrast between the warmth of your breath and the coolness of the air will heighten her sensitivity, making the next touch feel even more intense. But neck stimulation isn't just about physical touch, it's also about psychological connection. The neck is an inherently vulnerable area, and by focusing on it, you're creating a sense of trust and intimacy. The act of touching her neck signals that you're paying attention to her entire body, not just the more obvious erogenous zones. This makes her feel more cared for and valued, which can deepen her arousal and emotional connection with you. As with the other techniques, communication is key. Pay attention to her body language and vocal cues to gauge how she's responding. Some women may be more sensitive to neck stimulation and prefer a lighter touch, while others might enjoy a bit more intensity. The beauty of this technique is its versatility. You can easily adjust the pressure and speed to suit her preferences. One of the most effective ways to incorporate neck stimulation into your intimate encounters is by combining it with other techniques. For example, while lightly kissing or touching her neck, you can use your other hand to gently stimulate her clitoris or breast. This multisensory approach engages different parts of her body at once, amplifying the overall experience. The contrast between the gentle touch on her neck and the more direct stimulation elsewhere creates a thrilling balance that keeps her on edge. Neck stimulation also has a grounding effect. By focusing on such an intimate and sensitive area, you're helping her stay present in the moment. This can enhance the emotional connection between you, making the experience feel more personal and meaningful. Her body will start to associate the pleasure she's feeling with the closeness you're sharing, deepening her arousal and making the entire encounter more fulfilling. From a psychological perspective, touching the neck taps into her desire for closeness and security. The neck is an area of vulnerability, and allowing someone to touch it requires trust. By being gentle and attentive, you're showing her that you respect that trust, which can heighten her arousal and make her feel more connected to you. In conclusion, the neck is a highly sensitive and intimate area that, when touched with care and attention, can trigger profound physical and emotional responses. By using light, feathery touches, kisses, and even breath, you can stimulate this erogenous zone in a way that feels both sensual and grounding. When combined with other techniques, neck stimulation can take her arousal to new heights, making the entire experience more intense and satisfying. Chapter 6: Inner Thighs. The inner thighs are often underestimated as a powerful erogenous zone, but they play a crucial role in heightening arousal by building intense anticipation. This area is particularly sensitive because of its proximity to the genitals, and touching the inner thighs creates an exciting, tantalizing sensation that can drive her wild with desire. The key to stimulating the inner thighs effectively lies in teasing, not rushing. By drawing out the build-up, you make the eventual climax far more satisfying. To begin, start by softly running your fingers along the length of her inner thighs, beginning at her knees and slowly working your way upward. Keep your touch light and gentle at first, barely grazing the surface of her skin. This delicate approach heightens her sensitivity, causing her body to become more responsive to every touch. The thin, soft skin of the inner thighs is packed with nerve endings, making even the slightest sensation feel electric. As you touch her, you're awakening her body's natural response to anticipation, one of the most powerful psychological tools in building arousal. As you move upward, avoid making contact with her genitals just yet. The idea here is to tease, to bring her body close to where it desires stimulation without giving it right away. This creates a sense of longing that builds with every passing second. Her mind and body will become hyper-focused on the next move, making the eventual transition to more direct stimulation feel like an intense release. Once you've warmed her up with light touches, you can start introducing variations. Try alternating between the backs of your fingers and your fingertips as you graze her thighs. You could even use the whole palm of your hand to apply a little more pressure. The change in sensation keeps her body guessing and heightens her awareness of each touch. As you increase the pressure, listen to her breath and watch her body language. Both will signal when she's craving more. To add another layer of teasing, try lightly kissing or gently brushing your lips against her inner thighs. The warmth and softness of your lips add a different texture to the experience, making it even more sensual. You can also use your breath. After placing a kiss on her thigh, softly exhale warm air over the area you just touched. This combination of heat, softness, and anticipation is incredibly stimulating, making her body yearn for more contact. As her arousal builds, you can start edging closer to her genitals without directly touching them. The closer you get, the more intense her anticipation becomes. When done correctly, the slow teasing of her inner thighs can drive her body to a state where it's hypersensitive and craving any touch near her most intimate areas. This build-up makes the eventual transition to more direct stimulation overwhelmingly pleasurable. From a psychological perspective, stimulating the inner thighs taps into the natural human desire for suspense. By drawing out the moment and focusing on a highly sensitive yet often neglected area, you create an almost unbearable anticipation. Her body starts to crave that eventual release, and each second of waiting intensifies her arousal. The inner thighs also serve as a great place to test her responsiveness to touch before moving to more intense areas. Some women prefer a slow, gradual build-up, while others may want a quicker escalation. Pay attention to how she responds to different types of touch. Her breathing, movements, and sounds will all provide clues about what she's enjoying most. This feedback helps you adapt the technique to her individual preferences, ensuring that the experience is as pleasurable as possible. In conclusion, the inner thighs are a gateway to deeper arousal through the power of anticipation. By teasing this sensitive area, you can build her desire to the point where her body is begging for more. The slow, deliberate touch not only heightens her sensitivity but also enhances the overall experience by creating a thrilling, suspenseful build-up to eventual climax. Mastering this technique will allow you to drive her wild with anticipation, making the final release that much more satisfying. Chapter 7: Ears. The seventh and final secret place to focus on is perhaps one of the most overlooked erogenous zones, the ears. While many people think of the ears as purely functional, they are actually packed with sensitive nerve endings that make them a powerful source of arousal when touched the right way. The ears are a unique blend of sensory input, sound, touch, and even temperature can all play a role in stimulating this often ignored area. When you master the art of ear stimulation, you tap into a deep psychological and physical response that can enhance her arousal in ways she might not have expected. The ears are highly responsive to light, delicate touches, and the first step is to approach them with a sense of gentleness. Start by using the pads of your fingers to softly trace the outer edges of her ears. This light touch will feel soothing yet stimulating, and her body will quickly respond to the sensation. The key here is to be slow and deliberate. Don't rush. Allow her to get used to the sensation as you explore different parts of her ears with your fingers. One of the most effective ways to stimulate the ears is by using your lips. Gently kiss the outer edges of her ears, focusing on the lobe and the curve at the top. The soft, warm touch of your lips will send shivers down her spine. You can also try lightly sucking on the earlobe, which adds a bit of gentle pressure to the mix. The contrast between the softness of your lips and the firmness of the sucking motion creates a sensation that feels both comforting and exciting. In addition to touch, sound plays a crucial role in ear stimulation. Whispering softly into her ear can create an intensely intimate experience. The sound of your voice, combined with the warmth of your breath, stimulates her auditory senses while simultaneously engaging her sense of touch. You can whisper anything from her name to sensual compliments, or even simply breathe softly into her ear. The closeness and intimacy of this act can deepen her emotional connection with you while heightening her physical arousal. Another powerful technique is to lightly blow warm air into her ear after kissing or sucking on it. The warmth of your breath combined with the cooling sensation of the air creates a stark contrast that heightens her sensitivity. You can alternate between touching her ears with your lips, fingers, and breath to keep her body guessing and engaged. The unpredictability of the sensations will make each moment feel fresh and exciting. Ear stimulation isn't just about the physical sensations, it's also deeply psychological. The ears are close to the head, an area associated with vulnerability and trust. By focusing on this intimate spot, you're creating a sense of closeness that goes beyond mere physical pleasure. The ears are also connected to the brain's reward center, meaning that stimulating them can trigger a release of pleasure-related chemicals like dopamine. This makes ear stimulation not only enjoyable in the moment, but also highly addictive in terms of how it makes her feel emotionally and physically. As with the other techniques, communication is key. Pay attention to her reactions. Some women may find ear stimulation overwhelmingly pleasurable, while others might be more sensitive and require a lighter touch. The beauty of ear stimulation is that it can be easily customized to her preferences. You can use your fingers, lips, and breath in different combinations to create a variety of sensations, ensuring that the experience is tailored specifically to her desires. From a psychological standpoint, ear stimulation taps into multiple senses at once: sound, touch, and temperature. This multisensory approach makes the experience more immersive and engaging, heightening her overall arousal. The ears are also closely connected to the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps the body relax and feel more receptive to pleasure. By stimulating the ears, you are not only increasing her physical arousal, but also helping her feel more emotionally connected and relaxed. In conclusion, the ears are a hidden gem when it comes to erogenous zones. With their unique combination of touch and sound sensitivity, they offer a powerful way to enhance arousal and deepen emotional intimacy. By using light touches, kisses, and soft whispers, you can stimulate her ears in a way that feels both soothing and thrilling. When combined with other techniques, ear stimulation can add a whole new dimension to her arousal, making the entire experience more intense and satisfying. And there you have it, 7 secret places that, when touched the right way, can drive 99% of women absolutely wild with desire. The beauty of these techniques lies not just in their physical stimulation, but in the psychological connection they create. Every touch, every caress, every whisper speaks to a deeper level of intimacy and understanding between you and her. When you learn to touch her in these often overlooked places, you're not just stimulating her body, you're engaging her mind, her emotions, and her sense of trust and safety. Remember, the key to unlocking these secret places is not about rushing through them or focusing on the end goal. It's about being present in the moment, paying attention to her reactions, and letting the experience unfold naturally. Communication, both verbal and non-verbal, is your best guide. Let her body tell you what she enjoys most and adapt your touch accordingly. Now, here's where I need your help. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on more content like this. And if you've got a story to share or tips of your own, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you've used these techniques and what worked best for you. Finally, remember to share this video with anyone who could benefit from it. After all, mastering the psychology of women is a journey every man deserves to take. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.